What's up, everybody? My name's Chris, aka the Uncommon Centrist, and this is going to be the first video on my new channel. I have a reaction channel that I do reactions to music and beatboxing and other things like that. So if you like stuff like that, I will leave a link in the description. But this channel in particular is going to be more about political, social, and personal issues from more a nuanced point of view. And I figured I would start this out with I don't know, something that has been a lot on my mind lately. I'm in my late 30s. I'm almost 38 years old, 3 kids, and I know I'm realizing I'm not going to be here forever. It never really was something that was on my mind a lot until just recently. I don't even really know why that is, but it just seems like it's something that's been on my mind a lot lately. And I got to thinking about it. I mean, I've thought about every single aspect of it. Like, what is it? Why is it something that we're so scared of? Why do we fear it? It's inevitable. It's something that we're all going to have to do. Then you go into, afterlife. Does an afterlife exist? I'm largely, I considered myself, pretty hardcore atheist for a very long time. Not so much anymore. I'm not saying that I'm a religious person now, because I'm definitely not. I'm not a fan of religion at all. I think it's a way to control people. It has some good aspects. Some religions have good aspects and they have bad. Just like with everything in life, there's light and there's dark. And then, with the technology that's being developed on a daily basis, what comes to mind right now is, Elon Musk just unveiled his Neuralink, and they're working on that. And, it opens up all kinds of, possibilities, and what's going to be possible in the future? Are we going to be able to overcome death in some way, even if it's not in our physical form? Are we going to be able to overcome it digitally? Maybe a combination of, AI and our biological selves, 3D printing. There's so many different aspects. So we're going to dive into that today. So, the first question I asked is what is death? So what I did was I brought up on my phone the actual definition from the dictionary, and this is the action or fact of dying or being killed, the end of life of a person or an organism. That's pretty cut and dry. Everything is born, we live our life, however long that might be, and then we die, and that's it. Or is it? Is that it? Is there an afterlife? That's something that I've been wrestling with, and while I say, I'm not religious, what I'm saying is I don't subscribe to any religious doctrine. I'm not a very ideologically driven person. Even politically, I'm pretty centrist, which, the name of the channel is the Uncommon Centrist, because, it's a play on words, obviously, but it can go in a few different directions. So, there's not really a whole lot of people, and actually, I take that back. I think there is. I think most people are probably more down the middle than they are, either left or right, or just on a hard line, left to right, or up and down, or black and white. It's everything is there's nuance, and I think a lot of people realize that. I think, especially with politics, you get this hard left and right, and it's just it's so toxic, and it just seems like that's taking over life. And as I've said, life, it's finite. It's why spend it being angry or being so hardline, on one issue or another. Why not have a more nuanced approach? Why not look at all the different possibilities? And that's how my brain works. So why do we fear death? If it's inevitable, why is it something that we fear? A few obvious things come to mind. We all have families. We have people that we love and that love us. There's the fear of the unknown, not knowing what happens after death, if anything. It might just be and then it's lights out. It might be that way, but there's really no way of knowing for sure until it happens. And if nothing happens, then we're not going to know. The thing that really got me, especially my fear, and I went through, and this was just a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still working on it, and it was like this for months, probably at least 6 to 8 months, and it was just every day. A good portion of the day I spent, contemplating death, and not in a suicidal way, not even. I had when I was younger some issues, and I was in that headspace before, and it's definitely not that. It's actually the exact opposite of that. I don't want to die. I honestly, and I'm sure a lot of people might feel this way. A lot of people don't, though. I want to live forever. It's not going to happen. But a lot of it for me is fear of the unknown, not knowing what happens. Um, I went into a panic attack a few weeks ago. I was sitting here. I had just got off of work. I have my computer desk right here where I'm sitting talking to you right now, and I just sat here and I was eating my dinner, and I just got to thinking. I went just so deep into the concept of death and non-existence, and it sent me into a panic attack. I had to go sit in the bathroom. I turned completely pale white. Sweat just started pouring from me, and I felt like I was going to pass out. And I don't even know why, and it hasn't happened since. But just for whatever reason, I dove so deep into that concept that it really hurt me. And then I got to thinking about my children, and how death can come at any point, and it scared me that I could leave my children without a father. And I know how that feels because I lost my father at a very young age. I wasn't even 2 years old. He was on a motorcycle and he was hit by a drunk driver, and he died. Then my mom got remarried to a really great guy. He was strict, he was tough, but he taught me so many things. Taught me about survival. I lived on a ranch. How many people can say that? I grew up on a ranch out in the middle of the woods here in Florida, and I learned the value of hard work and what it takes to be a good, decent man. And that really means a lot to me when I think back on my childhood. And he ended up getting cancer, and it was super aggressive, and it just seemed like the blink of an eye. We found out he was sick, and then he was gone. And I sat there with him, and I held his hand and was there with him until he took his final breath. And even then, it didn't really. I knew that he was gone, that we were never going to be able to talk again. But even then, I didn't really think of the concept in terms of myself. I've lost so many different people in my life. Him and my mom got divorced a long time ago. I was probably 13 or 14 years old. She ended up getting remarried to again another great guy, and he got brain cancer. So cancer has plagued my life and taken so many people that were important to me. And I think about that too, how it can come and that can be it. There's nothing you can do about it. And that was part of what drove me into that panic attack. But that there again, it's inevitable. It's a part of our existence that we're all going to have to face. Whether or not there's an afterlife is really irrelevant, because death is still going to happen in some form. Even if there's an afterlife, even if we exist at some level or on some different dimension or frequency or whatever. I'm not trying to get conspiratorial or weird or into any kind of like woo woo kind of stuff. It's I'm trying to keep an open mind, and that's kind of what this channel is going to be about, is keeping an open mind and trying to look at every aspect of things. And even if there is something after our death, that death is going to come. We will cease to exist in this form, and that's scary. And why is that? Why are we scared of it? Obviously, there's the obvious things. It can be violent, it can be painful, it could come without warning. And I think, at least for me, that's the hardest part. Is I can go to sleep tonight, and that can be it, and I won't wake up. You know what I mean? And just the thought of that, and leaving my children fatherless, and because my kids mean so much to me. I have 3 daughters, and I don't want them to, and it would be different for them. I think it would be worse, because they're old enough. At least the older two are old enough that they've had enough years with me that it would have more of an impact than when my father died. But then again, that's a fear that I have. But just the concept of non-existence is super frightening to me, and I don't even know why. There's a quote, And I'm going to paraphrase the quote because I don't have it right in front of me, and I'm really not going to look it up. I think I'm close enough, though. And it was by Mark Twain. And that quote goes something like this. I do not fear death. I was dead for billions of years before I was born, and I have not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. I used to take comfort in that saying, in that phrase. Not anymore. Now it's truly terrifying to me. I had a complete shift in how I see it, and non-existence to me is terrifying. I mean, and I think a lot of it is I don't like to miss things. I'm always watching the news and trying to see what's going on in the world. I'm so involved in wanting to know and gaining knowledge that ceasing to gain knowledge and ceasing to experience all of this is truly terrifying to me. And I know other people that I've spoken to. I've only spoke to a few people because it's something that's so personal. But a lot of them kind of feel the same way. Some of them don't. Some of them are just like, it's whatever. Or they're religious and they believe. I just had something in my beard, so sorry about that. A lot of them are maybe they might be Christian and they believe in an afterlife. They believe in heaven. I envy that. I really do. I used to be a believer. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, but eventually, for me, it took several years. I started doubting, what I was taught as far as Christianity and everything, and then after thinking about it and contemplating on it for several years, I stopped believing. It didn't make any logical sense to me anymore. And that's not to say that there's not some kind of creator. I just don't believe in the doctrine of Christianity. I don't believe the stories. I don't think they're a bad thing necessarily. I think, there's morals there. I think it was needed probably at a time when humanity was just, coming out of the Stone Age and it was going from pure survival to civilization. And I think that change needed something like religion, and I think Christianity filled that void and filled that whatever was needed there, and I don't even know what to call it. Maybe just a structure, a moral structure to move forward with civilization, and for people to be able to live at least semi-harmoniously. Yeah, there's there's war and there's things like that, but as a whole, the world is, we're getting along pretty nicely, civilization is advancing. We've made it to the point where I'm able to do this. This may not go anywhere. It might only be seen by a few people. It might go viral. It might go to millions of people. You just never know. That being said, it's never been really available before now. And that's because I think that the Judeo-Christian, way of life and structure of morality and things like that, for the most part, there are certain moral things about these doctrines and about these beliefs that I don't like and I don't agree with, but I think that they were a good thing for humanity, and they helped us to get to where we are today, and whether you want to believe it or not, and I know people will disagree with this, and that's fine. I encourage disagreement on this channel. People are going to disagree with what I have to say, especially in other videos. This video is something that was personal to me, so I wanted it to be my first video, and I think it might help me, to deal with my issues with it, because like I said, I'm not over it. It's still something that I fear. But the Judeo-Christian moral structure, I think, brought us to where we are today, and it's what our laws are based on, and it's what our way of life is based on, and where we get our certain, just our basic things that we need to live together, about not stealing from one another, about not killing each other, and just respecting each other's own personal sovereignty. And religion is it's got a weird relationship with death. In one hand, some religions are promising eternal life, and I think that's a huge draw for a lot of people, because and I think it goes down to this core fear of death that everybody has. That religion, provides a way out of that, so to speak. I mean, and whether and it might not be true, but it's in some people's minds, the true believers, really believe that after their physical body dies, then their spirit's going to live on, and they're either going to go to heaven or hell or whatever the case might be. And I think that has a huge impact on people not worrying so much about death, because they truly believe that their spirit's going to live on, and that they will get eternal life through this set of beliefs. Religion also, and it's been this way throughout, much of humanity, and not so much now. I mean, it does still exist in certain parts of the world, but killing in the name of God, or sacrifice in the name of God, human sacrifice. And even Christianity is based on a human sacrifice, and that's one thing that I don't particularly like about it. I don't think, even if there is an afterlife or a heaven, I don't think that this one person had to be tortured and die, so that other people could get to heaven on the back of that sacrifice. I think that's hugely an immoral thing. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, and that's one of the problems that I have with Christianity. I mean, wars have been fought in the name of God, so death has happened in the name of religion, and in the name of religious beliefs that people have held, for millennia. We don't, and it's not necessarily, I don't only fear my own death. As a father, as a parent, I hugely fear, losing one of my children. That's one of the worst things that I can think of. I don't know what I would do if I were to lose one of my children. I think it would ruin me, mentally and emotionally. I've lost several, people. Most of us have been to funerals and have had to deal with death in some form or another. My parents, my grandmother, my grandfather, so many people that their death really it hurt. But I eventually was able to move on from it, and it didn't hurt so much. So I actually fear my own death above the death of all others. I got mad at myself when I came to that realization. I was like, what a selfish thing for you to think. How could you, fear your own death over the death of your children? I got really mad at myself just for thinking that, just for that thought, even, coming into my head. It bothered me. But once I realized why I had that thought, it wasn't so bad. And I know what it is now. And it was because I wouldn't be able to be here to protect my children. That's the most important thing to me in my life, is being able to protect and be a role model for my children. Not being able to do that, not being able to be here to make them feel better if they're sad, or to help them through something emotionally. They're one's almost 11, one's almost 9, one's almost 3. So it's going to be a while, but once they're in relationships, not being able to console them through their first breakup, or just be there through their adult life. And I hope I am. I hope I'm here for a very long time. As the way I see it, I'm probably about halfway there. That's if everything goes right. It could come at any time, though, and I realize that, and that I'm still so uneasy about that thought. But my children really helped me through that, and just when I think about them, when I hug them, when I hold them, when I think about how happy they make me, it really does help. And then you have the prospect of whether or not there's an afterlife, whether or not there's a heaven or a hell, which I don't believe in a heaven or a hell per se. I'm not totally against the thought that there might be something after us, because the thought of just complete non-existence is unfathomable to me. I can't. And maybe it's supposed to be like that. I don't know. All I know is it's not something that I understand in the slightest. I mean, when I think of it, let's say I'm sitting here, I'm talking into this camera right now. Let's just say something were to happen and I were to die like right now. What's that mean for all the life experiences that I have? What's that mean for all the memories that I have? Do they even matter? I mean, does anything matter if non-existence is the end game? If you end in non-existence, why does any of this matter? Why does being good or moral matter at all? You know, and so I do keep myself open to that possibility. While I don't believe that there is an afterlife, I do leave myself open to that possibility. I feel the same way about God. Now, I used to be, like I said in the beginning of the video, I used to be a strict, hardline atheist. Not only an atheist, an anti-theist. I was completely against people believing in religion or believing in a God or a creator, because I thought it was an infantile thing. You know, it was a childish belief. Now, not so much. I leave myself open to the possibility. So I'm going to say I'm probably more agnostic now than anything else. And the reason for that is, and like I said, this is just, all these things are things that I've thought of over the recent months. And I dove into, like I said, I completely went into the concept of death and non-existence. But then I also went backwards and went into, how the Big Bang, if that's how everything happened, if that's how everything came into existence. I don't believe that the universe has always existed. It just seems because it exists, it had to have a beginning point. And even physicists say that our universe, our reality, our space that we exist in came into being in some way, which they call the Big Bang. So I try to think of before that, and I'm no physicist, not even close. I didn't go to college. I graduated high school, but I don't know. I know jack about physics. But even physicists say that everything had a beginning, and they can't fathom pre-existence because it's not something that's able to be understood. Because there's no way we can, just for the simple fact that it was before anything existed, before time, before space, before anything. So the way I see it is something had to have happened to make that happen. Now, I don't know whether that was just a freak natural occurrence and it just sprang into being out of nothing, which I don't see how that could have happened. I also don't see how it could have been created by an intelligent being, because there would have to have been an existence of some point for that intelligent being to exist. So it's so hard to fathom that I will leave myself open to the possibility that maybe there is a creative force. Maybe it just happened by chance. There's really no way for anybody to know, at least not with the scientific tools we have right now. Maybe that changes in the future. And then I look to the future about, I brought it up earlier, and I think with the technologies that are coming out today, I do believe that at some point we will be able to transcend death at some point. I'm not going to call myself a post-humanist per se, because it's I don't want it to seem like it's like some kind of a belief that I have, but I would say if the technology were to be invented, that let's say that they were able to actually, and I'm going to use this Neuralink that Elon Musk is doing just as an example. Let's say that they were able to perfect that to the point where it could map your consciousness, the thing that makes you you. Let's say they were able to map all of your memories, all of your experiences, all of your personality into this so let's just call it a server, and then upload it into something similar to like the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know whether that's ever going to be possible, but I do open myself up to the possibility. And if it were to happen just by chance in my lifetime, I think I would be up for it. I also feel that we have things like 3D printing technology and stem cell research. And I think all of these things together, I do believe one day might open up the possibility for us to create another shell, create another physical body when ours breaks down. And if we can get to the point where we can download our consciousness or upload our consciousness, I think that maybe we could in some ways transcend death. And I think I do take comfort in that, because I do know that we have these technologies, and as long as everything keeps moving forward, that's a real possibility. So I take a little bit of comfort in that. And you know, I really don't know how much more I can add to this video. It's actually went a lot smoother. I went a lot longer than I thought I was going to. I hope I didn't bore you guys to death. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. There are going to be more. Some of them are going to be, you know, kind of in this style, like I did this. I didn't know what to pick for a background. I have a green screen behind me. I think some of my other videos are going to probably have more of a visual element behind me when I talk, but because this was about the subject that it was, you know, death and my contemplation of non-existence, then I felt just having an empty background would be fitting for this. So get down in the comments section and let me know what your thought. Give me your thoughts on everything that I discussed. If you have anything to add, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those. I'm always want to communicate with my subscribers. Like I said, I have another YouTube channel. It's a reaction channel. If you want to check it out, it's called Verbal Droppings, which, I mean, the name is self-explanatory, because I'm not going to lie about what I do there. I listen to music and certain things, and I talk crap about them. So this is going to be a completely different kind of channel here. I'm not going to really have any music involved. I may have some background made. I know a couple of producers, so I might have you know, some kind of a background to be behind me, you know, while I talk. Maybe not. I don't know yet. But since this is my very first video, I do want everybody who watches it, I want you guys to share it. I want as many people, obviously, to be here as possible. I know probably all of my subscriber base, as I'm recording this right now, are from my other channel, because I told you guys about it, and then some decided to come over here and check this out, and I do appreciate you guys. And if you guys will do me this one solid and share this to whatever social media that you have, I would greatly appreciate it. So again, like I said, get that in the comments section and give me some thoughts. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Let me know any improvements I might make. So like I said, I'm sorry if I bored you guys to death, but this was something that has been on my mind for so long, and I think this might be therapeutic to get out there and share that with other people, and to see how many other people had that same thought process that I did. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you very much, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Love you guys. I'm out.